Let's talk money. And let's also completely ignore the fact that I'm wearing a hood for some reason. The thing is, there is actually no reason. I'm like, what can I do differently? This popped into my head, so I did it. Before you get the wrong impression, this is not going to be one of those money conversations of like, hey, I won the lottery, or, new record of earning on YouTube, or, that positive kind of money talk. It's going to be a realistic money, anything to do really with finances is complicated and stressful when you have cancer and when you're on disability. So, let's begin with the disability part. So I went on disability on February 5th, and at the start of the week, the 6 months was up. So short term disability is officially over. I got the last payment yesterday. As I've mentioned previously, because my condition was pre existing when I began the job, even though it was only by a few weeks, and I technically accepted the job before I got the official diagnosis. I started working after it, so technically not eligible for long term disability, which sucks. The upside is there is a governmental sort of equivalent. Not really, but sort of. So it's basically unemployment insurance or employment insurance, except that it's specifically for people who are on medical leave. So I don't know the exact amount that I'm going to be getting for that. I mean, there's also a possibility that they could deny it because there are certain criteria you need to meet. And even though I should be able to meet all those criteria, you never really know. So, I'm going to fill out the form, submit it today because I had to wait until I receive the final payment from short term disability to fill out the forms and submit everything. Otherwise, there would need to be a real person to sit down and study the case and everything rather than it just going, through the system automatically and be approved automatically, which is usually quicker. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. Sounds like fun, right? Anyway, I don't know. I don't really know what to expect. I've never applied for this before, so I guess we'll see how it goes. It is online, so hopefully it's not too complicated. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, just to kind of explain, give you a picture. So far, as I mentioned, I was on short term disability for the last 6 months. And that means that I get 70, or was it seven? Yeah, I think it was 70% of my base salary. And that's what sucks. It's the base salary because, my job is base salary plus sales or commissions from sales plus bonuses, which totals out to a relatively decent income. But when you remove the commissions and you remove the bonuses and you're just at basic income or the basic salary, which is 35,000 per year, it's already a very limited budget to live off of. And then when you consider you lose 30% of that because you only get 70% of your base salary, it sucks even more. So I was getting $747 every 2 weeks, so roughly $1,500 per month. Plus, I have also a few other sources of income. Now that the channel has been monetized for a few months, there's money coming from that. It's still kind of too soon to be able to judge exactly or average out how much I'd be making per month. From what I've seen so far, I'm in the fourth month right now. So I would say the average seems to be around 200 to 300 per month. So, not negligible, but definitely not that much. Plus, I also earn money from the books and short stories and stuff like that I've published. Once again, it's not that much. I would say it's maybe 100, 150 per month, depending on the month. So it definitely helps, but it's really not that much. So like, let's say 1,500 that I was getting from disability, and then from YouTube and the books, let's say another 500. So let's say 2,000 total, which isn't too bad. Seems like a decent amount. But when you consider the fact that rent is $1,200, plus you have the internet, plus you have electricity, plus you have food and other various expenses such as travel to go to the hospital and back and stuff like that, that money goes very quickly. Plus, given the situation my girlfriend or my wife is in, every once in a while I do, send her money to help her and her family and stuff like that. So, yeah, budget is definitely limited. And now that I'm in transition period of applying for this new thing that I don't know how much I'll be getting exactly, from what I've been told over 6 months ago before I went on short term disability, the amount should be similar to what I was receiving on short term disability. So definitely not ideal, but for now, enough for me to live off of. But the thing is, it's the government. You never know. They can always say no, they can always change the rules, the amount could be different. I have no idea what to expect. So at this point, I'm going to do everything I need to do to begin that process. Hope that I qualify for everything. Hope that I, start getting the money because if not, I'm pretty much screwed because I'm not in a condition where I can go back to work. But if I have no income, I can't pay for the apartment. I can't pay for basic stuff like food. So, and I kind of need food, even though it's a struggle to eat at the moment and I have to kind of force myself to do it, I still need to eat. So, yeah, it's definitely not an ideal situation. I am aware it could be much worse. But yeah, definitely not ideal. And that's the thing. It's like I don't let it cause me too much stress, but I know that, in the background there is still a certain degree of stress related to that. So it's like, as an example, let's say tomorrow I win the lottery and it's like, all right, cool, I have millions of bucks. Like I never need to worry about money again. Even though I don't feel stressed now when it comes to money, I know that if I suddenly had like an endless amount of money, I would be much less stressed than I am now. So even though I don't necessarily feel the stress, I know there is a certain degree of stress there related to that. So that's kind of the situation that I'm in. Um, I am lucky, like I could be in a country where there is no financial aid whatsoever, but it's still not ideal. Like if I had a normal job and let's say I'm making like, I don't know, 50,000 per year instead of 35 from the base salary, and then I had 70% of that, it's like, okay, that's much better. Plus, same thing for this unemployment insurance. Like, um, if I'm approved and everything, it's like it would be something similar. I think it's also 70%, and it should theoretically add another 6 months. So bring the total amount of time that I can be. Well, the second one is not really disability, but it's the same basic thing. So it's like I could be on disability for up to a year in total. So that's the process I'm going through right now. It's definitely not pleasant. Filling out forms and dealing with the government is never pleasant, but it is part of the process. It's something I have to do because, we all need money. So, yeah, I just wanted to kind of share that, give you an idea of how it works because, I mean, I know the situation is different for everyone, but I feel like a lot of people going through cancer who can't work and have to go on disability and don't necessarily have um, that help from their company if they have insurance. Like it's not everyone that's lucky enough to have a job where it's like, okay, cool. If you are sick, you'll be covered. You'll be good. You don't need to worry about anything. I know a lot of people are not in that situation, and I thought it was important to just kind of share how that works for those people because unfortunately I'm part of those people. So yeah, it's once again, it's not horrible. It could definitely be worse, but it could definitely be much, much, much better. And the thing is, I'm also kind of in a transition period, not just for this, but in general when it comes to my health, because I'm waiting for the results of the scan, and the results will determine my next move. And it's like, all right, if I end up going to Nicaragua, it's like I can't afford to keep the apartment, so I'm gonna need to either have a conversation with the landlord and be like, hey, can I break the lease early? Can we make some sort of deal? Maybe if I find someone to sublease for me, like we need to figure this out because I simply cannot afford to be over there and pay for an apartment and food and everything over there and do the same thing over here. Like I'm already very tightly budgeted when it comes to here. So I could not afford having, two apartments and two of everything. So it's like I'm kind of in a waiting pattern for everything. And even once I fill out the forms for the unemployment insurance and everything, there's still going to be a delay, a period where I don't know if they'll accept it. I don't know how much I'll receive or anything. It's like, okay, once it is accepted, then they'll give me back pay for everything starting from the moment that I got the final payment for my short term disability. But until then, it's like I don't have the money to pay for the necessary things. Like, yes, I do have a little money aside. So it's like I'm not going to be completely broke and I literally cannot pay for shit. Like I've always been very careful with my money, very wise, and I plan ahead to make sure I don't, encounter situations where I'm literally completely broke and can't pay for stuff. But it's still definitely not an ideal situation, and then it still, does give me a certain amount of stress. Even though I try not to focus on that too much, I try to focus on my health. I try to relax, and as I'm slowly getting better, I'm hoping to very soon get back to a place where I can start enjoying life and be in that state of gratefulness and gratitude and everything. So, yeah. Anyway, just wanted to share that. Hopefully, you kind of get an idea of what it's like to be in this type of situation. I'm sure everyone has their own situation, whether you have cancer or not. But it's just when you have an illness and it's like you're literally fighting for your life. And on top of that, you got to deal with like paperwork and government and stress about money and all those things. It's just like it does not make life easier. So, yeah, today will be a fun day. Plus, I got to go take a walk at some point too because that's very important to keep active physically. So, yeah, today will be an interesting day. So, that's been my update. Talk to you tomorrow. Ooh, I missed the button. It's been a while.